And then he said, don't wish it was easier, wish you were better. Don't wish for less problems, wish for more skills.
I can't catch a break, guys.
Yeah.
Get them the fuck away from me. I can't be around those guys.
People think, oh, well, cleaning your room, that's just a cliche. It's like, yeah, really, eh? Just go ahead and try it.
If people had any idea how powerful sleep is for healing from anything, and the fact that it's free.
My mind is absolutely bulletproof, solid as a rock.
Podcast. And we're live! Good morning, everybody. Welcome back to the Fighting Fit Show. Today I am joined by the lovely Chris.
What's the crack, guys?
How are you, Chris? What's the crack?
I am very well.
Good, glad to hear it.
How are you?
I'm good. Really excited to hear that we are getting a new gym. What's up with that?
It looks very cool. It's very, very big. We're not going to make the whole podcast about getting the new gym.
We're going to do a separate podcast about that, and we'll bring the main man, Steve, in, and we'll have a chat about the details and the vision and the plan and all that crack.
But the TLDR for that is that it's way bigger. We have loads more room for activities, and we can finally sort of do the stuff that we want to do, or we're not restrained, or we don't have our hands tied behind our back in terms of space.
TLDR.
Too long didn't read.
There you go. There you go. All right, guys. So today we just kind of want to have a little banterful chat, just kind of see what the crack is, just talk through some ideas, things that, you know, as coaches we notice, and that maybe some of our pet peeves and just things that we deal with on a daily basis, and just hopefully you guys hearing them from our side might help you and give you some insight as to the thinking behind fixing the problems and addressing them, and you know what frustrates us, and you know how we deal with problems, and hopefully that should help and inform you guys.
Yeah. All right. So let's start with the juicy stuff. All right. Describe the absolute worst client.
The worst client. The worst client.
Like, what's the worst way for, let's say, a member to approach their fat loss journey or joining us?
The biggest thing, the biggest frustration that I see for people is getting frustrated. So when people get frustrated, what ends up happening is they kind of lose all rational thinking, and it becomes an emotional battle as opposed to something that's numbers based. It's facts. It's facts, not feelings. Obviously, you have to contend with your feelings. But if you have got to the point where you're frustrated, we've gone so far past the problem already now that, you know, we have to pretty much redress the whole plan and start again.
You think so? Just
not like you know, you don't
plan.
Yeah, you
well,
don't.
If you're going for a running goal and you've tried to hit, let's say, a sub 20 the last 5 times in a row, and you're still only getting like 23 minutes, and you're consistently only getting 23 minutes, like that's obviously frustrating. Or one of the other frustrating things that could happen is like someone's injured and they're trying to they're trying to work past the injury, and then like they feel like they're better to get back for their first session, and then they re-injure themselves, and then like if that's not frustrating, like I don't know what else is. But on top of that, people can get frustrated with just like the standard that we set. Like we set a few basic standards. One is 10,000 steps every day. One is hit your protein. One is show up 4 times per week, and another one is track your food, and that's really it. That's our standard.
That might seem easy, or it might seem like an awful lot, but that depends on where you're at.
Yeah, it depends on your lifestyle.
Yeah.
So, like, if you are, let's say, you know, a gym instructor, or let's say a building surveyor, or whatever you are, if you're up and you're walking around all day, let's say you're working in a hair salon or whatever it is, and you're on your feet all day, you are going to burn more calories naturally without any effort than someone who sits at a desk all day, like you know, a software engineer or a coder or a telecommunications person or whatever it is. Like, if you spend all day sitting, or if you are up on your feet all day, that's a massive factor. And some people, when we give them the challenge of, let's say, 10,000 steps, they gawk at us. They're like, oh, how could I do that? That sounds like such a big number. And like for us, if you're on work what, 5:30 in the morning or 5:15 in the morning, and from doing the few classes, like I'm sure you're at 10,000 by 12 o'clock in the morning.
Probably like 7, 8, because now we're limited with COVID and stuff. We're limited for space, so I'm pretty much pacing the box.
Nah.
As opposed to, whereas I used to literally pace the entire room, run around, do burpees and all that kind of stuff. But as well as that, you know, an awful lot to be said about the quality of steps, as well as just the actual number of steps. But again, it's a nice rough guideline to work off. It's a general level of activity. But yeah, it can be quite frustrating if you're not hitting the numbers that are set out in front of you. But the big thing is like, okay, so let's just lighten the load a little bit. lower the bar. You know, make life easier for yourself. Let's get some wins. Let's get some good momentum going. The last thing you want to do is see a client frustrated with themselves, because again, frustration is only a kick in the arse away from quitting, or a kick in the arse away from going back to old habits and needing a break. Because again, when you're frustrated, you're taking on too much. You know what I mean? Or you're working hard, you're not working smart. You know what I mean? Frustration shouldn't be part of the process, because it's just you're taking on a workload that's too big for you, and you're just hammering at something that's just not working for you. And again, that'll frustrate anybody. But the big thing is, like, that's why you have a coach. You know, you have a coach to avoid frustration, because we can set up a plan. We know what you're capable of. We know what you should be doing. We know what you're capable of doing. So that's when if you're even getting mildly frustrated, that's when you should make contact with a coach, or even well before that.
Yeah. So what I was going to say say something along the lines of, like, let's add some value here and be like, how do you handle frustration? So what do you do when you're frustrated? First thing is, like, get in touch with your coach and try and articulate it as clearly as you can. And I say articulate, I mean say everything. Give us as much information as we can go on, whether it's stress from your job, whether it's too much pressure, whether it's too little pressure, whether you're not making enough gains, whatever it is. Get in touch with your coach, let him know what's going on, because again, we have a different perspective on this than you would living in it. And even as a coach, like, I get frustrated with some of the stuff that I do. I say it to Brandon, and Brandon just goes, from his outside perspective, just gives a little bit of clarity, and then all of a sudden it doesn't seem as frustrating, and it can be possible.
A problem shared is a problem halved.
Exactly.
You know, and that really is true. Like, honestly, like 100%. Everybody gets lost in their own perspective, and we all kind of have these systems in our heads and way of figuring things, and they work and they're useful, and that's great. But every once in a while, like I said, you get frustrated. Obviously, you're missing something. You're missing a piece. You're doing something that maybe you shouldn't be doing, or you're not doing something that you should be doing, and it's very, very useful. Like, there's so many times that I say useful, obvious stuff to people, and they're like, "Oh my god, that's so useful. Thanks so much." And then there's other times, you know, where somebody says something to me, and they're like, I'm like, "Oh, I'm just I'm my wits end with this," and then, you know, you guys come along and give me some coaching tips and all this kind of stuff, and that's it's so cool as well, because, like, I've come from that place, and obviously, you know, as a coach, I had to start from somewhere, and, like, to me, my diet at one stage of my life consisted of beans and toast. Like, that was pretty much all I eat, was beans, toast, and
I remember once when back when I was about 16, there was a little running joke where you did home ec, I didn't do home ec, but because of that, I didn't know how to use an oven, and Brandon did. So what I was doing was I figured out that I could fry stuff, and I ended up like frying on a pan toast, okay, but it was covered in oil, and I had beans. I just liked it better, it tasted better, but it was awful. It gave me really bad heartburn, all that sort of stuff. But I'd make beans and toast, but like deep fried bread. It was really awful.
You don't need an oven to make bread.
No, I know, but
to make bread, to make toast.
I was, let's say, very challenged when it came to prepping cuisine.
A toaster, dude.
I know, but I wanted to do it better, because we made like was a soda farls or something like that there, and I was an idiot. I really was. I didn't really know how to make proper fry bread, but I thought that was funny.
Yeah, it's hilarious. And again, by the way, me doing home ec, like, was putting butter in beans and salt and pepper. Like, that was the extent of my knowledge. And look, I mean, this is it. Like, everybody's coming from their own experience. Like, some people, like Jerry, like, we've clients here, and they are like master chefs. Like,
way better than us. Way better prepping. Way better doing stuff like that. There, unbelievable. And then we have some people who have no cooking skills at all, and you tell them that they have to maybe cook pasta once, and they're like, "Oh, I couldn't do that." And like they get frustrated with their goals because they're not prepping, and then they're just like unwilling to prep. And it's like, try it once.
100%. Like, I mean, like, it's really, like, if you're partaking in a health and fitness journey and you have, like, let's say a lot of money, like, I mean, like that's, I know it's relative, but, like, for your own perspective, if I say a lot of money and you say, boom, that's me, you probably have a lot of money. So the thing about it is, like, if you feel like you have a lot of money, fine, maybe you don't ever need to learn to cook. Maybe you can always outsource that 100%. Yeah. But generally, like, if you don't have a lot of money, you need to learn to cook. Like, it is 110%. There is no way you're getting through your health and fitness journey and going to end up making food that tastes good, that you're going to stick to your plan if you don't know how to cook. If you don't know how to cook, that is skill number one.
Yeah, and on top of that, it's not as bad as you make it out to be in your head. It's actually not a bad thing at all, especially if you have a phone and you can stick on YouTube and you just go, boom, put that there, have it playing away, or a podcast, or you have headphones. Maybe not headphones.
I hope there's somebody listening to this prepping their food right now.
I really do too. That would be deadly. That would be unreal. If you do, you have to tag us, take a screenshot, put it on Instagram, tag FF Movement Coach and FF Chris and M. Alright.
Yeah. So next kind of frustration that I
Actually,
have.
very quick, I was going to ask, what's the worst way to handle frustration? What is the worst way to do it? Let's say you're a Fighting Fit member and you're starting to get frustrated because stuff's not happening as quickly as you want. What do you do? What's the worst way to handle it?
Give up.
Give up. Give up, not mess your coach. Avoid them.
Yeah,
hope that you're not called out on it.
Yeah, but I mean, this is the thing. I mean, like, if you are a member or you're just engaging in your health and fitness journey in general, and you're quitting, is like there's a great quote, and it's kind of like, you know, it's like obviously it's you're hitting frustration going through the process, but it's like I would assume you're doing this for some kind of outcome, for a goal. So it's like quitting's not going to get you there any quicker.
It's not.
You know what I mean? Like, and 100%. Like, I mean, I wish people would just understand this. Like, you need to make this journey enjoyable. Like, by all means, obviously, if you're getting frustrated or just fed up just by the sheer monotony and the sheer consistency of your actions, it's like, yeah, by all means, take a break. That's different to giving up.
Try something new.
Yeah, but it's,
maybe change up a goal.
No, but even like I said, like if you want to take a week or, you know, a couple of days and go to the beans and toast and, you know, just do whatever is easiest for you, you know, it's like, that's fine. It is going to cost you. It's like, and so factor that in, you know, it's fine. It's going to cost you, but it needs to be a case whereby it's like, if you feel like you need a break, you need to be in a headspace where you feel like, okay, it's fine to take a break without going, okay, like there's a difference between taking a break and giving up.
100%. Well, one of the cool phrases I know is learn to rest, not quit.
Yeah.
Take a break.
Right.
Take a little bit of a break.
100%.
Rest. When you feel like you've got enough rest, get back at it.
Yeah.
That's it. It's that simple. Like,
It
take a rest.
literally is that simple, and that's the key to
Like,
consistency.
I'm a bit frustrated. Do you want me break? That like because it's Christmas, I have to have these conversations with clients a fair bit. They're like, just, you know, it's New Year and all, like the sweets and all coming in. I just want to take a wee break and take my foot off the gas. I don't want to set any new goals or anything like that. There, I'm like, all right, you have that option. I'll tell you what, I'll allow it. Or when it comes January, you can be 2 kilos closer to your goal.
Yeah.
What do you want?
Well,
You want to take a break, and if you're like, oh yeah, no, I really do, or actually it's just a little bit hassle now, I have to go get shopping, because I'm like, no problem.
Yeah.
No problem. Take a wee break, stay training, maybe the calorie surplus, you can work a little bit harder in the gym.
Yeah.
And they're like, oh, happy days. And then, but for others, they're like, oh, maybe that 2 kilo does sound pretty good. I'm like, all right, well, here's the cost. It is going to cost something. Are you willing to pay that? And if they're like, if it's not like yeah, no, that sounds doable, well, then we readjust until it's like, yeah, that sounds pretty doable. I can do that.
Yeah, and again, like Christmas, Christmas is a day.
I know.
You know, like I have people taking it off since November.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, my God, like
Is that frustrating for you?
do
Do you want to quit?
you know what it is? And no, this is the thing. It's like, even as a coach, if I get frustrated, like my first call to action is, how do I fix this?
Yeah.
You know, it's like, okay, what's the solution? You know, it's like I get frustrated all the time, and my frustration just lets me know, okay, I'm out of knowledge. You know, my current abilities and, you know, knowledge has run dry. Now I need to go find out how to fix this. You know, because my first priority is to help people. You know, I want everyone, like,
that's a big point. I think everyone, like, not everyone, but a lot of the members here, like, it would be really cool if they just understood that we're here to help and not criticize.
I literally, like, I judge nobody. The only person that I judge is, no, actually that's not true.
Probably you.
I don't, yeah, true. Like I generally, like, I would like to say that I judge those who get frustrated and quit. It's like, I don't even, like, I just have ultimate empathy, and it does get frustrating after a while when we just keep running into the same obstacle. And to me, when I see somebody running into the same obstacle again and again, like, that really, that's a mindset.
No, so the worst is, let's say, like, a lie. The worst is a lie. If someone's lying to your face about what they're doing, or like because we have had it where a couple of members would have said something along, no, I'm trying really, really hard. I'm trying my best, and you know they haven't done a tap. Yeah, you know they haven't done a tap, but they just all they want to do is save face and just keep everything all the thing. And it's like, the best thing to do is to be honest. I fuck up my diet. You fuck up your diet. The people fuck up from training. You don't have to train every single day to stay in shape.
100%.
But if you're looking to get in shape, you know, like, it's probably a good idea to start training.
70-80%. Like, I'll take 60. Like, if you generally, like I said, depends where you're starting at. If you're starting from ground zero and you generally, like, don't do anything, you never track your food, you would, like, again, from your perspective, your diet is shit. It's like, cool, I'll take a 50% effort. I'll take 50-50.
I'll take any effort. Any effort in the right direction.
Yeah,
and it's like, all right, you do that. Once you can do that consistently and well, are you ready to step it up, or do you want to leave it like this for another wee while? Oh, I want to leave it like this for a while. All right, I'll ask you next week.
Yeah. And then the other side of it is, as well, it's like, you know, when it comes to taking breaks, it's like, you have like because I'm a big firm in a kick in the arse as well. You know, it's it's
100%.
like you can't take breaks all year. You know what I mean? Like there's people that's like it comes to Christmas and they're like, oh, do you know what it is? I just want a break until after Christmas. It's like you took a break from September to November. You're just like your break season, in my opinion, like should be over if your goal means enough to you. And then that's the other side.
On top of that, like there's another way to look at it, which is like, why do you need a break?
Yeah.
Why do you need a break?
Okay, yeah. So
why do you need a break?
let's get into the meat of it now. It's like, okay, let's diagnose what's stressing you. What's your problem? Like, what is
Usually it's stress. Usually it's stress and overwhelm is why people want a break. It's like there's too much getting 10,000 steps, having your food organised, and showing up to work out for half an hour 4 times a week is too stressful.
But it's like, okay, why?
And if that's true, because again, I don't know what everyone else lives like, but I've heard some of the stories from people's lives trying to dissect the problem, and like sometimes they've really fucking tough situations.
This is what I'm saying, yeah. So this is it.
Like with the 6 kids and all this sort of stuff, and like a full-time job,
and this is
someone to look after.
This is where the frustration comes with, because when you then set the bar too high, you're set up to fail.
Yeah.
You know, like you're 100%. Like you've got 9 kids. You know, you've got 3 husbands. You're looking after everybody.
3 husbands.
You know, you're looking after everybody. You know, financially you're strapped. You're trying to make it all work, and you're trying to do it from what like a great kind of analogy would be when we do the forward fold here. What does everybody do? They've seen forward fold in a yoga class, or they've seen an image of it, and they do their best to interpret, you know, perfection. Although this is their first time ever doing the move, they assume they should be perfect.
Yeah.
And that's a nice...
Same.
That's
Same.
Oh, 100%. And that's a nice kind of way to look at it, but it's a poor assumption if you kind of take it, like, if you take it from a humble attitude. It's like, you've never done yoga before. Like, give the yogis some credit.
Yeah.
To say it's like, for you to be able to do a full forward fold, like, is excellent. So for you to never done yoga, for you to have an office job, for you to not be an athlete,
To be as arrogant to think that you're going to get it straight away.
I'm going to jump in and I'm just going to be able to do a forward fold, so you better believe my legs are going to be locked.
Yeah.
It's like, you know, it's like, but again, like it's ignorance in the nicest possible way, and you're just a little bit ignorant to how complex this actually is.
Let's not call people ignorant and arrogant.
But what would you?
But that's what it is. No, that's what it is. I'm only joking.
Like, what is a better way to phrase that?
No, there's none.
Yeah,
There's
it's
none.
not like, oh, you're ignorant. It's like, oh, it's just
that was-
ignorance is bliss, as they say. You know what I mean?
Oh, I'm doing great.
Yeah, and then or I a little bit naive. You know, just kind of think like and I know I did, because like I remember, and it led to many injuries. Like when I started lifting weights, I assumed I should be able to lift the big weights straight away.
Yeah.
And I wasn't fit to, and I generally blew my shoulder, my knee, my ankle, my back, everything. I blew it all out.
Brandon, if you're not watching this on YouTube, Brandon's currently in a wheelchair. Full body cast.
Yeah, I mean, like it's
Peter shook his head.
And
at that one.
it's the same way. It's the same with your diet. You know what I mean? It's like you have to start humble. You know, you have to start really, really humble, and it's like you go back to basics until the basics are automatic. You know what I mean? And let's say you're in that situation. Let's say
What are the basics?
What are the basics? So
What are the basics of nutrition? Real quick, if you want to take a snippet of this one, it's have a protein shake post workout, have 30 grams of protein at each meal, have a fistful of vegetables at each meal, don't overeat your carbs, and that's about it.
So let's start even simpler.
Go for it.
Have an apple. Have an apple.
Have
an apple.
Have an automatic thought for an apple to be a good snack. Or a banana. Or something like that.
Fruit is not bad, guys. Fruit is not bad. I have never had somebody come to me and say, Brian, you know what it is? I have so many apples, it's crazy. Like the dentist told me if I have another apple, my teeth are going to fall out. Like it's never the problem. The problem is always the picture as a whole. You know what I mean? And as the picture as a whole, it's like you're never going to change the entire picture. You have to change a detail, you know, one detail at a time. So it's like, okay, can we add an apple into your diet? It's like, I hate apples. It's like, right. It's like, but even if you hate apples, it's like your response to eating an apple. Like, and I know myself from my own.
Might be too strong. Why is your response so strong?
Why is your response so strong? It's because you're so.
Why are you against this?
It's like you're just so unused to change. Mm-hmm. You know, people are creatures of habit. We love our comfort zone. You know what I mean? We like what we like, and we're set in our ways. You know what I mean? It's like you can't teach an old dog new tricks. And the reason that's the same is because it's like when your brain is wired, it's like for you to then deviate from your path of survival is risky from a biological standpoint. Yeah.
100%. No, I agree. And the older you get, the more set in your ways you become. Because again, everyone's life is different, and the older you get, the more different your life is to someone else's.
Yeah.
And
Good point.
you come up with a very, very effective way of managing all that, or maybe a good enough way of managing it. Maybe not effective.
No, because I think you're kind of right there. Like unless right now you're very unhappy, like if in general, like let's say,
whatever you've been doing
is working.
It's worked because you've survived up until now. If you're
So,
dead,
like-
it didn't work.
So
and
like
you're not
like
listening
like
to
for,
this.
yeah, like for talk's sake, let's say you're in work and the cake shows up, and you've had a stressful day and you eat the cake,
And you feel good.
you feel good.
It's
Like,
nice.
is that not
Love cake.
is that not a good solution to wanting to pick me up?
Yeah,
It's a reasonable short-term solution.
it works.
Yeah, 100%. If you, what would be another good one? Like let's say like you're pressed for time in the evening and you order a takeaway. That's a good solution. It's like
Sounds good.
I've got no time. I'm hungry. Boom.
And it's reinforced by a big dopamine hit because it tastes delicious.
Unbelievable.
So,
Yeah.
So then, maybe that was a good idea. Maybe I'll do it again. It comes easier to do it next time.
Yeah.
Anyone ever noticed that? If you're doing really, really well in your diet, everything's fine, and then all of a sudden, you get one takeaway, and then all of a sudden, you have it the next week again, and the frequency just gets. You haven't had a takeaway for about 2 months, and then all of a sudden you have 3 takeaways in 1 week, and you're like, what happened?
That literally happened to me during the summer. 100%. Yeah,
It's-
like 100%. It's very, very easy to fall into that perpetual loop.
Because it's easy.
Yeah.
It's easy, and then you forget about how good you felt when you're making your wee salads or making your wee sandwiches, or
We've agreed on everything so far, Chris. Do you think there's anything that we don't agree on?
that we don't agree on.
Just make it interesting.
Let's see. I'd say we agree on most things, but we might think we disagree. Like the kick in the arse thing. Like I think everyone needs a kick in the arse at some point, but I think empathy works. I think empathy is more effective with someone who has a growth mindset. So if you have a growth mindset and they're just falling off the wagon, but like let's say they're unprepared and everything seems a little bit overwhelming, you telling them to be like, get your ass into your David Goggins it, fucking keep pushing through, will either, depending on the personality of the person, they'll either be like, oh yeah, can do, or they'll be like, leave me alone please, I don't want any more effort.
No, I still agree with you.
Yeah,
I still agree with you. The reason being is because although I love that kick in the ass mentality, that's not what I use all the time.
it resonates with you because you did it and it's effective.
I don't even use it on myself. I use it half the time, and then the other half the time I am the most empathetic person with myself. Like I have so much sympathy for myself. It's not even funny.
Sorry, I
No, go on.
I will disagree with.
Go on.
So one of the things that we will disagree with, and we might get into a wee row about this, but let's say strength training. Okay, so you're the mobility king. All right, he's established himself as the mobility king by getting himself.
I love mobility, and I've made some helpful
let's say
improvements.
in the fight and fit. His squat is almost perfect. I would say it's almost perfect. Probably perfect. He's really
dramatic improvements made. Dramatic improvements still needed.
Yeah. But anyway, so I'm assuming your argument would be to drop the weights, okay? Don't load up anymore, and don't lift heavy weights if you have poor mobility, okay? Whereas it's like if the mobility, my argument would be, and again, I do yoga and all that sort of stuff as well. If the mobility isn't hindering you, okay, and you can still lift the weights and you can do it safely with good technique, well then you don't need a perfect squat to squat heavy. Does that make sense? Like, and as you keep squatting, the more you squat, the better it will be for your actual squat. So like that's what I would say. The more practice you get at something, the better you get. Whereas like if you want to squat safely, again, if there's no pain and all that sort of stuff as well, you can keep it up, and there's no need to stop, drop the weights, regress, and get full mobility before you even start.
Yeah. My thinking on that is, and I kind of took this a little bit from Jordan Peterson, is everything you do matters. Not one thing you don't do matters. And so for you, let's say like
no, the things you don't do matter as well.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, but if you do something and you even kind of think like I know my squat isn't perfect, so like in an ideal world, would you strive for perfect action all the time?
So no, what I would do, the only thing that I disagree with is having to regress to keep up in your weights.
I know.
So what I would say is like when you're squatting, I'm not making a defense for not working on your mobility for a squat. I'm not making that case at all. What I'm saying is like, no, you keep loading up the weights and you will get better over time. And maybe don't go heavy every time, but like, there's no problem with going heavy.
I would say you can lift as heavy as you can lift as long as you maintain
a neutral spine.
Reasonable, perfect mechanics. And as soon as those
reasonable perfect, is that an oxymoron?
It could be, like 80 to 90%. It's like, but I mean like, it's pretty close to perfect.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? Like we're talking human error. I'm not talking about mechanical faults or poor positioning. I'm talking about you might have wobbled your knees a little bit or something like that. But even still, it's like if you are not like, so it's like, okay, so let's say take a squat. 'Cause you said a squat. Let's see a squat. The second your heels change position, that's your range. And if you are to move outside that range, you put your entire system at risk. Because I believe every little thing you do matters. And you have no idea, the butterfly effect, how that affects everything else. And I believe that if you are looking for again, it's not about you couldn't produce more force. It's not that you couldn't progress as an athlete. But are you moving towards your maximum capacity by moving away from perfect form? I think is going to degrade your performance more than it's going to help you in the long term.
Fair.
Does that make sense?
It does.
Because as I said, every little thing that you do matters. Everything. Not one thing. So again, you cheat in your diet, it matters. You lie once, it matters. You turn your heels out when you know you shouldn't. The key is, it's like, the
goal, it's like if you can't help it, you're trying your best. That's it.
No. If you don't know. If you don't know, fine. But as soon as you know, now you're making poor decisions.
Yeah, but I think we'd end up agreeing on this. If you're halfway through a strength program, squat numbers have been going up, you're like, bloody feel bloody great, and then all of a sudden you find you're made aware your heels not in. Should you cut the program?
No, you should reduce your range of motion. So if you want to progress in weights, you find the range of motion that works for you. For strength training, if the goal is strength, well then you should progress in the range that you have. And as soon, because again, let's say the weights go up and your goal is to develop more strength, well then what you should do is you should progress your strength gains, but you should maintain form.
Yeah.
Because then, in my opinion, then what you've done is you've now changed from what was a squat, which has certain movement principles, and now those principles have changed. That's not a squat anymore. That's something else. You know what I mean? And the fact that you changed during the movement from what you agreed at the start, you said, okay, this is the goal: feet straight, shoulders back, knees down, and okay, that changed. Well, that's not a squat anymore. You failed a rep. That's my opinion. And for you then to progress on top of failure, it's like, well, now you and the only reason I'm saying this is because I did it and I got injured.
So would you say like the only defense I have against that is that the strength gains, let's say you finish your 12-week program, you lose strength very slowly. You lose strength gains very, very slowly. Like if you do lose them, you get them back very quickly. Yeah. So I would say that benefit there would outweigh the short term, let's say, downside of just pushing through.
And this is with squatting with poor form.
Yeah. So again, it depends.
It's
not perfect. Heels turning a little bit. You get down. You can still go, let's say, ass to grass.
Yeah.
You get down, but your heels turn in and you drive back up. You get super strong. Let's say you're squatting 200 kilos with that form.
Yeah.
Okay, and then you fix.
Yeah.
Yourself. Would you see a reduction in your power, or would you see an increase?
Well, here's what you've done. You've done two things. One, you've put yourself at a risk of injury.
Okay.
So when you're doing that, it's like it's not guaranteed that you're going to progress, and it's not guaranteed that. Yeah, it's not guaranteed that you're going to progress. You might get injured in this attempt. So every time that you're moving outside that perfect form, the reason that the form is there is to keep you safe. That's really the object of the form. And once you move outside that, you're lining up your mechanics in a way that's not safe. That's, and again, if you're doing it in a safe way, well then, in my opinion, you are probably adhering to proper form, if that makes sense. And then next up would be, if you do get through that, well now what you've done is you've reinforced poor form. And so what happens now in your mobility training, if you did get through injury free, which is, it's nearly random. I've seen people with terrible form go on for, to be
for ages,
absolutely unbelievable. But I also do know that nearly everybody that trains get injured. You know?
Yeah, so again, actually, let's address that.
Sorry, just one last thing.
Go for it.
Is that then when you come back to your mobility, you are now going to have to unglue and undo the strength that you're after reinforcing. Because let's say, for talk's sake, you know, your IT band, for whatever reason, was in a poor position. Now you're after solidifying that poor position. You're going to have to unstick and unglue that first before you can pull it into a proper position. Because
I would argue that there is worth it.
yeah, well, it depends on what your goal is.
Yeah,
if
yeah.
like, I mean, like for me, is like it doesn't mean that much to me to squat 180 kilo. There are some people who would literally blow out their knees to do that.
Yeah.
And it's like, if that's what you want, that's fine. But for me, I come from the perspective of longevity in your training. You know, like
I agree.
My whole thing is I want to be pain free until I'm dead.
Yeah.
Like I don't like, and I know what it's like, and I didn't know unconsciously because I was in pain for years and didn't know.
Yeah, that's what I think is really weird about the health and fitness journey. So you're about, like, you're unconscious to the pain and discomfort you're actually in because that was normal.
Yeah.
So let's say in the background there was just this hum of
That's what squatting was.
Yeah.
Squatting was a sore back.
Yeah.
Squatting was a sore back. Like if I didn't have a sore back, it's like I didn't know any different. You know what I mean? So it's like.
Would you say that when people, let's say, stop drinking for a while from drinking every single weekend and then they go back and have a couple of drinks and they're like, oh God, I feel awful now next day. Would you say there's something similar there?
Yeah, 100%. 100%. It's the exact same. You know, it's literally like you don't know any different. Like whatever you do, like your body becomes accustomed.
Yeah. I think the same happens with nutrition as well. So if you're eating really well for ages and all of a sudden you have like a big Chinese, you're like, oh, I didn't like that as much as I thought I did.
Yeah, true.
Oh, my stomach feels all weird now. Oh.
Yeah. And then lastly, one thing that I would say is just when you reinforce poor posture, as you said, for the sake of your strength, it depends what stage you are in your life. If you're a power lifter and you've got competitions coming up, maybe you don't want to take 2 years off. Lomachenko, the boxer, his dad made a very smart decision and took him out of boxing for 2 years and moved him into Ukrainian folk dancing because it was better for him.
It sounds ridiculous, but very smart.
He is literally like, and so he basically took him away from one skill to develop completely new attributes. And for me, as you said, strength is lost very, very slowly. Mm-hmm. My deadlift pretty much remained the exact same, and I moved away from all heavy lifting for a long, long period of time.
But my only thing with that rationalization would be your deadlift that you tested. You never really trained deadlift to progress in terms of like linear strength model. So like when you first got your deadlift, what was it, 180 or 170?
No.
Your max?
No, that was after a lot of mobility work.
Okay, well,
so my max deadlift was 120.
No, we did it that one day. Remember, you were So in our early days in our health and fitness industry, Brandon deadlifted. I think we have a video of it, 160 kilos, and you looked like a very angry cat.
Okay.
When you're dead, do you remember that one? And I was giving it to you, being like, "Here, you should flatten out your back."
Yeah, I know. I remember the day. I just didn't remember the number.
It was 160. I remember because I'm very competitive,
cool.
and I got 165 or something.
Cool. Okay.
But and since then. It has jumped up to 170 because I remember I was dead proud of myself. I deadlifted 170.
I would be shocked if I got 170 next because I haven't deadlifted in so long, but I know at that period of time that I did deadlift to 160, it was maybe a couple of weeks of strength training. Like it was just about reactivating.
Yeah, I didn't think. Again, to build strength, it takes time and a lot of reps and a lot of stimulus to the nervous system. So like I would assume that you've been naturally athletic most of your life. That that's what you can lift. Like that's your.
So here's my argument. I improved my deadlift from 110 to 170 without working on my mobility at all, because as we said, what I was doing when I had the angry cat was not a deadlift.
Yeah, I agree.
So my ability to output strength remained pretty much the same.
Yeah.
But my ability to deadlift moved up 60 kilo without deadlifting, because I could lift maybe 110 with a flat back before, focus on my mobility, and then I can maintain the strength that I already had, because I could pull around 160 through my nervous system with pure strength. But the fact is my musculature couldn't support that load. So my nervous system was that strong and remained that strong without strength training.
I would say that would be your, let's say, your untrained sort of upper limit.
So let's say
Sorta, not literally untrained.
So let's say on that day, I was glued like I am now to good form. My deadlift was probably 100, 110.
You think so?
Probably. Maybe 120. I'll give you 120. And now the other day, I single leg deadlifted 120 with a flat back without strength training over the last 2-3 years. And that's simply because I made my body strong. Like Lomachenko, I worked on everything that wasn't the skill. By focusing on all those little things, making 1% improvement, 1% improvement, 1% improvement, that all added up. And I took all those soldiers that were weak, recruited them, strengthened them, put them through boot camp, and took them now out to what we used to be able to do, and they performed safely, properly, and yeah.
And now pain-free in the
pain-free.
ankles.
That is the key, because again, if anybody's been injured, it's absolute hell.
Yeah, it's not good. I currently have a shoulder injury, and I have to squat with a safety bar now.
And just FYI, that's from squatting, and that's from doing Chris's overloaded progression.
Oh, it's not. It's not.
Well,
it's definitely not 100%.
No, it's not. No, in fairness, what it could be, what most likely actually.
So I was going to bring this up earlier.
Most likely what it is.
The injury. So 2 years ago, I fought in the Irish senior championships, and I tore my rotator cuff in the semi-finals. And since then, it's always been kind of niggly. But I did rehab and all that sort of stuff. Worked on my external rotation, and then after that, me and Brandon had to do a boatload of home workouts, and it just with that, and then punt boxing as well. I hit it and hurt it one day, and it just hasn't gotten better since, and then I just can't get into that back position.
100%. I completely retract my statement. I don't blame your strength trainer at all.
Yeah,
that's a good point. That's good point. It's a good point. Yeah. Yeah, guys. I mean, look.
It actually could. My bench is getting pretty good as well, so it could be actually working so much on the bench. It actually could lead to my shoulders rounding a little bit, and then that could leave it more exposed. It could be. I don't know until I see a physio.
It could be a number of things, but the big thing is, guys, look, regardless of what you're doing, is if you pull yourself, figure out what it is, and if you don't know what it is, again, that's why you have coaches who study this for a living, because God knows we know you don't have the time. So ask. Yeah, exactly. Ask and find out what it is that you're supposed to be doing. But all I can promise you is that if you make movements towards better form and agreeing to them principles, no matter what, like I said, take your ego out of the equation, that you will be pain free and progress. Exactly. Now, again, that might just mean you have to step. Like, I was shoulder pressing 17.5s with poor form, and at one stage I had to go back to 2s. You know what I mean? Because I made that agreement to myself, and now I'm back to the 17.5s. But the thing about it is like, that's a hit to your ego. Can you take it? That's the question.
Yeah, ego's a funny thing.
It is. So guys, just on that, like I said, I know we kind of went from one thing into another. But as I said, it's also, again, just on the same vein. It is a big frustration of mine when I see people, lifting really heavy with poor form because they just want to lift heavy. Yeah. You know what I mean? And again, there is a place for lifting heavy, 100%. But there, in my book and in my classes, there is no place for poor form, because it's a false economy. It's like you think you're doing yourself good, and you're really not. You're setting yourself up for a big hit somewhere down the road.
Yeah.
And most of us live a sedentary lifestyle. Most of us sit. I'm sure you've probably seen, if you guys are watching this on YouTube, I'm sure myself and Chris have fell into poor posture, time and time again. We're contending with that. Sitting is the new smoking. You need to make sure that you're doing something to combat that, or you're going to leave yourself paying for it somewhere down the road.
Yeah, you're going to leave yourself prone to injury, and you get one body, you blow out your knee, like you don't get another one.
You get
unless
one
you're really
knee.
rich and you get like really good surgery or something.
Yeah, 100%. I mean, again, you'll know if you're really rich, because I'll ask this question: are you really rich? And you go, yeah. Yeah, I am rich. I got loads of money. I mean, that's great. Fair play to you. Share some this way.
Yeah, stand up for fighting fit.
Stand up for fighting fit. Let's do it. Let's get started. I'm all for Chris, do you want to leave the guys any kind of take home?
Yeah,
ideas?
we got new premises again. Just going to remind you, we're super excited about it. Can't wait to unlock our dream gym and do all the stuff that we really want to do. Brian will be killing it with the mobility stuff, making sure that everyone is lifting weight proper form, making sure everyone gets the body of their dreams, and it's just we're all in the up and up from here.
Guys, one thing that we believe here in Fighting Fit is accountability matters, right?
Yeah.
Something that you don't want to do is hide in the dark. You need to have a relationship with somebody you trust and outsource your ability to control yourself to that relationship, because you're only human at the end of the day. We're all only human. We all make mistakes. We're all fallible. It's going to happen where you run out of your willpower.
Oh, yeah, actually, no, just to interrupt. If you want a quick way to actually overcome that, okay, let's say you're a Fighting Fit member, but if you're not a Fighting Fit member, you can just transfer it over. But if you're a Fighting Fit member, and let's say you haven't showed up for an AM workout in a while, come to me and Brandon, give us a €50 note, okay? We'll keep that €50 note, and then when you show up for the morning the next day, we'll give it back to you. And if you don't show up, you don't get it. And then when it comes to it, when you set the alarm and you go, oh shit, I have 50 quid in that, and then you get up and you go and you work out.
It's a good tip. Like, realistically, like, if that is where you're at, yeah, 100%, make it hurt. Make not following through what you said hurt. Because again, people who pay attention.
Yeah, 100%.
Cool. Right, guys, we'll leave it there. Thanks so much for listening. I've been Brandon.
I'm Chris.
I'll see you in the next one. Peace.